Lord. Alicia, it's another week. I'm so excited to touch base with you. We just had the most amazing workshop with Master Marilag Mendoza here in Tampa. Yes. And Alicia made the trip from Sweden to Tampa just to take this class. And I honestly can say, I think it was worth your while, right, Alicia?
It was completely worth my while. It was so beautiful, and the group that connected was, I don't know, it just like every person I met, you could just feel the love, just a beautiful connection. Everything just flowed so beautifully, and it was just a deep honor to meet Master Marilag. And yeah, it's hard to explain, but all I can say is like everything about that event was just pure love.
You know, it really was. I always say it seems every group is a special group, but there was just something about that group that weekend, and the people that attended were just so incredible, and you tangibly could feel the love. And I mean, I even remembered seeing you chatting to a couple of people at lunchtime, people you'd never met before, and you looked like you were having lunch with your best friend, right?
It felt that way. It truly did. There was one woman that I did not know at all. Her name was Tina. And we started talking and sharing stories and realized we had so much in common. And then she's like, oh my gosh, she's telling me, you know, a lot of, you know, private things in her life. She's like, I don't even know why I'm sharing this with you. But then because she did, I was like, oh, but no, it's perfect, because I just listened to a podcast about this topic, and oh my gosh, you need to look this up, this is going to help you. And it just felt like everything was just so, it was like divinely like led. It really felt that way.
It really was. And yeah, there were two healings that stood out over the weekend, which are the highlight of the Pranic crystal healing class. And the one was in the park, where Master Marilag guided us through that beautiful meditation, and the rain came down, and it literally felt like stuff was being washed away.
It literally felt that way.
Yeah, it was amazing. And it literally rained just during that healing. It was quite amazing. There was nothing before, there was nothing after. It literally was like she said, just everything's washing away, just go with it. And that was just a profoundly beautiful natural experience. But what I really wanted to get into today was what we call the sacred laying of crystals. And even just from what the group has shared with me since we did that, it was so profound and so deeply transformative just for the people watching and being a part of that experience. So for those of you that don't know, when we do the laying of crystals in the Pranic healing class, Master Marilag will work on two people, and literally the crystals that she uses, I'll quickly show you actually. Our little pranichealing extractors like this. This is a pretty small one. And these are very highly charged crystals cut to a specific design. And each pranic healer will consecrate and program this crystal to do certain things. And we place them on different areas of the body over the specific chakras, specific organs, specific areas of the body that are needing healing. And the whole group, we had so many crystals. We're literally placing these crystals all over your body. We had the most beautiful background music. It was quite surreal, actually. It really felt like such a sacred process. So I'm describing what it looked like from the outside. If you wanted to just share, like, personally receiving this, how that felt for you.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, I mean, in what you were saying, it was right from the start, it felt extremely ceremonial. You know, because I was laying on the floor with Colleen, and I could see all these beautiful souls surrounding me and in a circle. And, you know, my eyes obviously closed when everything began. So all I could hear are the words that each student was saying as they laid the crystal on me. And, you know, the words, they were saying the same words. So I could hear it over and over again. And in my mind, I just remember thanking them for the healing and thanking every person, not that I could see them, but I could, you know, hear them and feel them. And after, I don't know, I would say maybe after like the 12th or 15th student, the words, it just became this, like, they all blended together, and it became this like spiral of, like, it was like a chant. It was like, whoa, and then it would like subside, whoa, and this chant would just like kind of like come in and out, and it was just like all over my body until it started to like penetrate in. And then it was almost like if you go into hypnosis, and I was just like, I was somewhere else. I was in a trance of some kind. I was no longer in that room. And I, you know, and it took me some time to share this with Nicole because it was so personal and profound. I saw a vision of like this angelic male face. And in my mind, I was like, oh, I think it's Jesus Christ. And I just remember thinking, no, like that can't be. And there was like this conversation in my head, but this like angelic face, this man who I intuitively believe it was Jesus, was just like, his face was really close in my mind's eye. And he just stared at me. There were no words spoken. And there was this beautiful, like deep gold and like rays of light coming from behind his head. And his eyes were so like deep and penetrating and staring like deep into my eyes. And it was almost like he wasn't saying anything, but I could feel like, it was like he was just communicating unconditional love. It was just pure love. And I was just like, it was like I could almost barely breathe. It was so overwhelming. And as I just kept looking at his face, and then it just sort of dissipated, and then the chant sort of came back, and I could hear like the chanting of all the words, and everyone surrounding me and laying crystals, and then at some point, and I don't know how long in between, there was a voice. It's a dear friend of mine who was also diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And I had learned about her diagnosis the day that I got my diagnosis. Her husband had reached out to my husband, and they live in England. And I heard Sarah's voice, and she's British, and she's like, darling, don't forget the dream that I had. You're going to be okay. You must believe. And when that happened, I was just like, I didn't even know how to respond. You know, it's like your ego kicks in though, because it's just like, what was that? Oh, you just like made that up. And there's this like conversation going on in your head, but at the same time, it was just like, no, like that was her. It was her. It had to have been her. And you know, and this is, I don't want to go back too far, but Sarah, it has a very special place in my heart, and she didn't make it. She had died of her cancer. But back in 2017, many years ago, when they moved to England and I moved to Sweden from New York, we visited them out, and they live in the English countryside. And she had woke up one morning and came down for breakfast, and she's like, wow. And she told Martin and I and all of us how she had this really lucid dream, how we had both fallen very ill. We had serious, she had said serious injuries. And sorry, this is really emotional for me to talk about, but she had talked about how we were at the hospital with these serious injuries, and all she remembered, she's like, but Alicia, you were okay. Like, you came out of your hospital room and you were following Martin, and you were like joyful and almost like skipping down the hallway. And this is like what Sarah had said during this crystal healing. She's like, remember the dream, you must believe. And because of course, when you're diagnosed with a really serious illness, it's hard not to fall in the darkness. You're like kind of teetering, and I don't go there really very often anymore, because with pranic healing, it's like I have like pulled myself out of that with the help of Nicole and her team. And so when I heard that voice, it was a bit of a struggle. That was a really long-winded answer, but I pulled myself out of, or after she had said that, I had sort of been removed, I was removed from it, and I was back into the chant and just sort of floating and in nothingness, except for this like feeling of like pure, immense love. And then it just sort of like elevated. And I remember this, it was like this prickling, tingling feeling. It was just all over my body, to the point where it just kept getting stronger and stronger. And I literally felt like I was almost on fire. It was so hot. But it felt like it just felt like love. But it was, the heat was like, it was so intense. And then like, poof, I was like out of it. And then I like opened my eyes, and there was Master Metalog, and my body, like literally like the heat, it just like cooled down. And then it was like I was back to room temperature.
Amazing.
And that was my session.
And
it was so powerful.
While we were part of it, we could feel that emotion, we could feel that energy. And you're right, it was so intense, as everybody, was coming and, recharging their crystals and, reworking them. It was incredible. And I mean, the whole thing, I think, was maybe 20 minutes. It wasn't even that long, but it felt like so much had happened in that time. And people were really emotional. They could feel the shifts happen. And all of us had the sense, Alicia, you're going to be okay. Like, even though, it's a very serious illness, like unanimously, everybody just had this feeling. And I mean, it's not based on anything except like literally everybody had this feeling like she's going to be okay. Yeah. And that was so profound and so beautiful. And I took a picture of you right at the end. Your face was so angelic and so calm and so peaceful. It literally looked like you were radiating that love while you were just laying down. And I think on some level, like everyone in that room was transformed. I remembered a couple of people saying like they really felt a strong angelic presence there. And I know when Master Marilag did the invocation, it's one of the things we do a lot in pranic healing is we ask for divine help. And they really just felt like this beautiful angelic presence that was literally penetrating that entire room for that entire time. Like we could feel it. And one or two people actually said, we could see this haze of light behind you and behind Colleen. Unbelievable. Like some people, and I mean, these were people that normally don't like see stuff. Like I'm sure I saw an angel. Like I don't know what it looks like, but I really feel like I saw an angel. And then somebody would say, yeah, like I felt like I felt one. It was such a beautiful experience, and I'm so grateful that you made the trip to come for that weekend experience.
I am immensely grateful. But I think, I don't know. I think everything in my life in the past year has been so divinely orchestrated. Of course, I was there. Like it wasn't even a question. It's like, yeah, I have 2 children, and my husband and I run our own business. But sure, I'm gonna book a ticket and I'm going to head to the States and attend this workshop. It was a part of the plan.
And it was amazing that you actually were physically able to do that. I mean, where you were in.
That's another subject. I am so well I am so well and so healthy. Every day I wake up and I find it surprising that I even have a life-threatening disease because I feel so well. And my mind, it's like, you know, they talk about like born again Christians, and I, you know, even though I was raised Catholic, I chose not to practice Catholicism. I'm a completely different person. And I am this person where I was bogged down with negative thoughts. I was deeply depressed, and I could not, like, every moment of the day, it's like, I was telling my husband, I'm like, oh my God, like, how much fun are we having? Like, life is so fun. And, you know, and I could be doing the dishes, and it's what a beautiful place to be. And I am so blessed that I am here and that I get to experience, you know, how life really should be lived.
I think that's where the lesson was for you. When I look at sort of building up to cancer diagnosis and then post cancer diagnosis, it's like you were living two different lives completely.
Completely.
And it's just amazing how the mundane stuff, you can still get joy out of it. And that's one of the big things that we really work with, is just the gratitude for even the smallest of things. I'm so grateful that I can actually stand up and wash the dishes, because I wasn't able to do that before. And I think that's where that gratitude practice comes in so deeply, because when you have an expression of gratitude for so many things, you end up having so many things to be grateful for. And I think that really is the key.
It's yeah, I mean, I can, I'm not able to tell you all of the things that have just synchronistically popped up in my life, but every day something shows up where I'm like, wow, I was thinking about that a week ago and how I really want to do this. And now, like, this person just appeared in my life, and now it can happen. The things that have manifested, it's truly, it's so beautiful. Like, life, if you can approach it in the right way, it's heaven on earth. It's beautiful.
Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you, Alicia. It's always so
Thank you, Nicole.
to you. And I honestly believe you're going to be a source of inspiration to so many people. I can't wait to come back and do the next segment with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.